Good morning, Bachelor Nation. Thank you so much for joining me at Roses and Rosé live here on Entertainment Tonight. I'm Lauren Zima here with Annaliese Puccini. Round of applause for Annaliese. She made it through. She is not traumatized. Paradise is fun. Annaliese, I have so many questions for you. I'm sure you guys do too. So leave your questions and comments on our social media platforms. I will get them right here on the iPad. But let's dive in. Let's talk about Monday night's episode. We're looking ahead to tonight's episode. Paradise just gives us so many gifts. Are you really glad that you went on Paradise? Because
so glad. It is such a different experience. Like The Bachelor, when people say, how was it? I'm like, The Bachelor, nope, not for me, not fun. But Paradise is like amazing. It's fun. Yes, there's obviously still like the drama and the stress and anxiety of, am I gonna stay another week? Am I gonna find love? All those things, but it was just fun.
We are seeing such a different side of you in the best way possible. The Annaliese that we knew from Ari's season of The Bachelor was traumatized by a lot of things. How realistic was that to who you are?
I mean, what you saw was all true. It all happened. But from Bachelor to Paradise, I really took a lot of time to focus on me and do a lot of work on me. So I actually went to therapy. I started working with a personal trainer. I think I took care of myself, and so I was in a much better headspace when I went to Paradise.
Really? So did being on The Bachelor make you realize there were things you wanted to work on about yourself?
I think I was just not aware of how stressed out I was in my real life, and when I got to Bachelor, I was just like, oh my gosh, tailspin, and I think it was a rude awakening of like things that I needed to deal with in my personal life, and so I did, and I just felt like when I went to Paradise, I just felt like Annaliese at ease. Like I was calm. I felt like ready for everything.
Interesting, because I mean, in Bachelor, and we were just talking about this, but of course you go on the show and suddenly you don't have a phone, you don't have your family and friends, you don't know what the news of the world is. So is what happened for you, it sounds like, that all of that stuff taken away made you kind of look at yourself a little bit.
It did, and I didn't even realize it when I was there, because you're in this bubble, so you don't even really realize that you're spiraling out of control until you remove yourself from it, and then you're like, oh man, that was not a good look on me. Like what do I need to do differently in my life so that I'm a better, healthier human being? So I think it was a good opportunity for me to just grow as a person. And then, like I said, when I got to Paradise, then I just felt like I felt like I was the me that I wanted to be.
So if you look back at those scenes from Bachelor when you are, crying about the bumper cars or I think the dogs was dog, what's your reaction to watching that?
It's hard watching it back, because the thing is that those things actually did happen. And so when people make fun of it or like say that it wasn't genuine or true, I'm like, okay, well, it actually did happen, and it was it was something that unfortunately it came out the way it did on the show in like a humorous way. So it made fun of it, but at the same time, those are, you have things as a child that shape who you are as an adult. So, I mean, it was hard watching it back, but it's in the past. I'm fine.
Well, and I did wonder for you if the thing is that was really kind of all that we saw of you. We didn't see, and now in Paradise, we're seeing so much more of you. So how would you describe in a couple of words the differences or the version of Annaliese we're now getting in Paradise? Like what's different about you this season?
I think this time around, I'm like so much more ready. I feel like I had things in my life, it's like one of those things that when you have everything lined up and then there's just that one missing piece, I just felt like everything was sort of lined up right before I went to Paradise. Like things were actually, my life wasn't in chaos. So it was easier for me to just enjoy myself and have fun and actually be me.
Well, we saw a lot of enjoyment last night. We have questions and comments coming in already. Lane says, you seem like such a nice person. You're one of my favorites on Paradise.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been so fun to watch you. Sophia with a question that I intended to dive into later, but let's just do it right now because the people want to know. Sophia says, what do you think of this whole Tia and Colton situation?
Tia and Colton, I just feel like need to figure it out. And I feel for them because they aren't giving themselves or anyone else the opportunity to really get to know them because they are just in this weird little, again, bubble that they're trying to figure out, like, are we, aren't we, but then they don't want to date other people. So, I mean, while I was there, I kept just saying they need to leave and figure this out in the real world because right now they're just kind of doing their own thing and it's just not working. So
yeah, I feel like Colton has one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah.
And it's like either jump in or close the door.
exactly.
It's that he said he wanted to explore things with her, but he also wants to be open to other people.
Right.
I also feel it's all based on what seems like not a lot of time that they spent with each other out in the real world, but then it all got magnified on Bachelorette and now in Paradise. Ultimately, do you think that they're a good fit?
I like them together. They're both just so sweet, and I mean, I think that there could be a future for them. So we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. Do you think that Colton needs to step it up? Like, is it more the fact that they're not able to figure it out more on him than on Tia?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a decision that Colton needs to make right now. Tia's all in, obviously.
Well, I have to say, as a woman watching Tia, I'm kind of like, Tia, just walk away. It just, like, with Chris and with Colton, I loved her calling Chris out, and I felt like he was, I felt so bad for her in that conversation last night. I felt like I was watching someone have to talk to somebody who was just on a different wavelength. I mean, she's sitting there like, but you said you were into me, and then you kissed Crystal. What did you think of the Chris moments last night?
It was hard. I was watching with some of my girlfriends, and they were like, we hate Chris. And I was like, I actually really love him. He and I became really good friends. And so it's hard for me to watch it back because I'm like, I have a soft spot for Chris. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that's...
Well, the man's referring to himself as the goose and wearing a headband most of the time. It's overwhelming. I mean, the thing is, I felt so on his side after Men Tell All. I thought he really owned what he did wrong on Bachelorette. He apologized. He had that cute moment with the choir. And now in Paradise, I'm like, what are you doing, man? And yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he didn't handle it well at all. And I think we're all there to find love. And so, like, it's understandable that you're going to explore other relationships and kiss other people. But at the same time, have conversations with people and, like, let them know what's going on.
So last night, I mean, take yourself back to when you were there at this time of Paradise. Watching what Tia was dealing with Chris and with Colton, were you wanting to tell her, pick Chris, pick Colton, or forget both of them?
I felt like she needed to leave. I felt like she wasn't in a headspace to actually find love unless it was going to be with Colton. And he wasn't all in. So I sort of felt like both of them needed to leave and figure it out. But
why do you think he wasn't all in?
Honestly, I don't know. I think probably he probably still had a soft spot for Becca, and it was just all too soon. I feel like Tia may have been a little bit at that point of still of like the rebound of like, wait, maybe I like you and maybe we should pursue this, but then also I still have feelings for somebody else. So I'm like, I don't know. There was a weird energy. I liked them together, but it was still kind of a weird energy at that phase in it.
Well, and then we saw Crystal very quickly have a morning meltdown after Chris said he needed to go get a tequila. I was like, what time of day is this? Like Chris needs to hit the bar. Crystal's breaking down in tears already. How did you feel at that time about Chris and Crystal as a couple?
I think it was probably the realization for Crystal that she was like, wait, actually, maybe I really do like this guy. Because I do think, I mean, it's a weird environment anyways, but when you're having a breakdown moment over a guy, that soon into it, it is a kind of a nice thing sometimes because you're like, okay, wait, maybe my emotions and my heart are actually telling me something that I'm not listening to. So
yeah. She'd been with Kenny. Kenny really dates around in Paradise, as we saw last night. We'll get into that. Mandy, such a good question. She wants to know, are you now on good terms with Jordan, and what did you think of Jordan and Jenna together? Annaliese, I felt like you snapped back pretty quick, which I was happy about.
Well, the thing with Jordan is, so I went into Paradise just thinking, I'm going to be open. Like, that was my number one thing. I'm like, I've been single for 3 years now, and so I'm doing something wrong. Let me explore other types of people and relationships. And Jordan was so sweet, and he was just really pursuing me so hard the first week that I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I haven't had a guy go this gung-ho for a while, so let's see where this goes. I have no hard feelings towards Jordan at all. I think he's a great guy, and I knew the minute Jenna walked in, I was like, okay, well, that just makes sense. Like, this doesn't really make sense, and that makes sense. So
what made you think that made sense? Everyone seemed to see their connection so quickly.
Well, I mean, I know Jenna from my season, but then also getting to know Jordan over those couple days, I was like, they're both so quirky.
I was going to say.
So
blonde and cute and quirky.
they just make sense. They're like the same person in guy and girl form. Like, it just made sense. And I think that's why I was so emotional about it, because I kept thinking, well, shoot, this is sort of my chance, and now I might be going home. And I think that realization that early on is like a hard thing to deal with, because you want to see other people come in. And but Jordan I think he's a great guy. And I honestly, the minute I saw them together, I was like, I'm happy for them.
Because we did see a moment where, and I don't know if sometimes editing makes things look like they happen at different times, but when Jordan and Jenna were on the date, it looked like you were saying, well, I'm expecting to leave with him putting a ring on this finger. So it was like, Annaliese. Oh, Annaliese.
I don't know if I was that jumping that far ahead, but I think that's the thing. I was open to the idea of that happening with somebody.
Okay.
And I kept thinking back to like the Carly and Evan sort of situation, where like there is somebody who you're like, because realistically, Jordan, I kept going, like, I don't know if this is ever going to be a thing. I don't know if this could ever work in the real world, but I'm here to explore.
You were trying to make sure you didn't close the door.
I don't want to close the door yet. And so I thought, like, who knows? Why not?
Why not? He's in a full floral vest pants situation. Why not? I felt bad for Jordan about this David thing, because it really just seems, and it was already happening on Bachelorette, but really in Paradise, it seems like David was just trying to get under his skin, which I'm not a fan of, because I like Jordan.
Yeah, they just go at it for a while. I think they
more to come.
I think they have this like love-hate relationship where they like to push each other's buttons.
Well, we got a little tease that on tonight's episode we might see Jenna making out with Benoit.
Yeah.
Poor Jordan.
Jordan's gonna go through the ringer this week.
He is. The thing is, I have to say that I believe that Jordan, I think he's a competitive and driven person.
He is.
So it makes me think that if he really likes Jenna, he's going to keep pushing for what he wants, even if she's still looking around.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's good, especially for guys, to feel a little bit jealous, and then all of a sudden feel like that's the girl I want, and I need to step up and
Do
go
your
get her.
work. Put in the effort. Beth wants to know, from Paradise, who did you end up being good friends with besides Chris? You have a soft spot for, she said.
So, I was friends with Kendall before the show, and we remained really good friends. I actually became really good friends with Crystal, which to me was a huge shocker, because I went in thinking she's probably the person I would least want to see there. But she and I think she was sort of like me. She came into it in a different headspace, and so we were actually able to connect as friends. But she was like the surprise friend for me.
That's awesome. I interviewed her right before filming started, and she told me she saged her gaping soul. So
she saged us all the time there too.
Literally with sage. She brought sage with her.
She did.
I love it. It was so nice to see that moment between her and Bibiana last night as well, where they were kind of hugging it out. And yeah, I mean, who would you say has had the biggest redemption story this season from their past seasons in the franchise? Is it Crystal? Is it you? Is it Chris?
Me and Crystal, I think, are probably the two biggest, because Chris sort of wavers back and forth, right?
He does.
But no, I do think Crystal is like we're seeing a completely different Crystal. This is, I think, who she actually is. I think in the pressure of the Bachelor world, and being in that environment where you're all competing for one guy, the pressure got to both of us, and in very different ways. And so this was just a much more chill version.
Chill environment.
Both of us.
There was a moment last night when Crystal was just holding a margarita. Like, I'm like, oh, I love this, Crystal. I love this. What about the biggest heartbreaks that we're going to see this season? Because I think we saw that tonight Leo is going to arrive. Kendall and Joe had this strong connection, and Kendall's going to have a moment with Leo. Who do you think has the most heartbreaking moment of the season, if you look back at it all?
I don't know if I can say. There's going to be a lot of heartbreak, though.
Okay. I'm scared. I'm scared for Joe. We all love Joe so much.
Yeah,
I hope he powers through. A question we actually had gotten from a fan earlier. Do you, and did everyone find the Colton and Tia situation as annoying as some people are right now? Like, were you guys frustrated with them in that moment? Are you like, figure it out?
I think we were frustrated just because it felt like the first couple weeks just revolved around them. And we all kind of just felt like we were on the Tia and Colton show. We're like, okay, more drama with them.
Wills was here last week, and he kind of broke down in tears a little bit because he said that he felt like Colton, he just felt not cared about, because it just was all about Colton and his Tia stuff and everything.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah, I felt like that was a big chunk of the first couple weeks. We were all so involved in it, and it was, it was funny. I had girlfriends texting me last night, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, Colton! Why weren't you going for Colton?" And I'm like, he was
Busy.
off limits. Are you kidding me? But yeah, so it was hard because being there, we really felt like you couldn't touch them. They were sort of these two people that it was just like, they need to figure it out. We're here just as observers and giving feedback when we can, but we didn't feel like we were, it was weird those first couple weeks. It was definitely all about them.
There was a funny moment last night in a confessional where Tia turned to the camera and she just said, "Help." I was like, someone help her.
Yeah.
Mercedes wants to know, because this is up in the air right now, who do you think should be the next Bachelor?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I know Jason is like, everyone's excited about him, right? So I think he would be a good one.
Highly beloved. I'm a big fan of Jason too. So I do also want to talk to you about the moment when you kind of advised Jordan last night. You went over to him and you were like, "That's not cool what you said." I mean, at that point, had your feelings for him, you were past those?
I was literally the minute Jenna walked in and he came back and we had our chat, I was like, no, this is like, I knew it was going to be done anyway. So I closed that door immediately. And then it was just, I was looking out for him because I felt like I had gotten to know him so much more than some of the other people because he was pursuing me. So we did have lots of one-on-one conversations and I felt like I saw a much different side of him. So when he had that moment last night, I just thought like, okay, you know what? I need to go talk to him. So I followed him down, we chatted, but I was really disappointed in how he presented himself that night because like I said to him last night, I was like, that's not you, you're better than that. And I was like, what is this like for the cameras? Are you actually pissed? Like, what is going on with you? And so I really wanted to like have a chat with him and be like, not cool, go apologize. And I'm grateful that he did apologize, and I hope that he realizes now that wasn't okay.
What do you think it was? What had sent him over the edge?
I honestly, I think he just had a bit of a breaking point that he just took too far. I don't think he meant for it to go that far. I think what happened was he felt like he was in the outfit, David was doing the dog thing, and I think he just felt made fun of, and it was like maybe an ego thing where he just felt like everyone was laughing at him. And so instead of just handling it like a man, he got in his head and lashed out and just did not handle it.
I was surprised by how well you responded when he did have that chat with you, and this was on last week's episode, but it was really funny to me, Annaliese, because he sat down, and I don't think he maybe meant it to come across, or maybe it was edited. It looked so harsh. He was like, "My date with Jenna was fantastic. It was an unbelievable connection. Like, you and I will never get there." And then he walks and tells Jenna, "We had such a good, healthy talk." I was like, that was,
it was harsh.
It could have been finessed a little.
No, it was harsh in the moment. It was harsh. I'm glad he talked to me though. He could have just not talked to me at all. So I'm glad he did say something, and him saying it also just validated like, okay, this isn't going to happen, and I think it made it easier for me just to close that door as well. So I'm fine with it.
Okay, it was very direct. It was just maybe I was like, you didn't have to. You could have just said it's not working out versus here's how amazing things are going.
Right, I know.
But hey, we'll take the message.
Yeah.
So you and Kenny last night.
Yeah.
Kenny gave you his rose last night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this was unexpected for me, but Kenny kind of dated around a little bit. What do you think it was about? I wanted to see and understand more about you two's connection. Maybe we'll get that on tonight's episode.
So
what was it?
I feel like it wasn't really shown our relationship up until that point, but he and I had so many long conversations, like hours by the pool just chatting, and we were completely friend zoned, like completely. And even so, it was actually similar to Crystal having her moment with Chris. I had a moment where it was right after Crystal kind of ended it with Kenny, and then I was talking to her about it, and I was like, you know what though? Because I was saying, you should date him. Like, here's all the great qualities about him. And in that moment I thought, wait, here's all the great qualities about him. Maybe I should consider this. Like, if she's not into it, maybe I should consider this. So I remember like having the conversation with him that night when I waited up for him. And again, it was just, our conversation was always so easy. And I have nothing but good things to say about Kenny. I think he's a great guy. And so I felt like, why not? We're all here to find love again, and sometimes when you put somebody in the friend zone, it's hard to get out of that friend zone. So it was like that big leap, I think, for both of us to be like, okay, are we going to try maybe to see if there's something more?
Okay.
So I think that was last night.
What can you tease for us that we might see tonight from you and Kenny?
I don't know. I don't know if you're going to see too much of us tonight. There's a lot.
But there was a lot we
going
didn't see. It sounds like. Okay.
There's a lot you didn't see. Yeah, and I think I think the basis of our relationship was a friendship, and that's like where you want to start every relationship is with a friendship.
Yeah.
So, so I think it was a really nice place to start a relationship, and yeah, it just in this environment things grow very quickly, and so I think that's where it sort of went from like, wait, where did this come from? Because you don't really see us being even friends, and then we're just all of a sudden kissing on a daybed. So, you know.
It's always on a daybed in paradise. I wondered, too, if you guys being both in your 30s, like a little bit of a different age, a little more mature, that made you guys connect.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a moment, too, where I remember saying to him, like, for me, a lot of these people, like, go out all the time and party and are meeting people, and that's not really my lifestyle anymore. So I just feel like I don't necessarily I don't want to be here. I sort of need to be here in terms of like, if I want to actually date somebody in this capacity. And I felt like he really felt that way too, where it was like, this is the environment for somebody in their 30s to actually meet someone where you have no distractions.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all the stresses of real life. And it's not like going out to a club until 3 o'clock in the morning and meeting people.
I loved that. I have to say that is one thing that I wish, I mean, it was such a big deal on Ari's season that Becca M was so young. And I love you being in your 30s on the show, and I would love to see more women and men in their 30s on the show, because you really do, there's a validity in I've tried to find somebody and I haven't. I've had the time to try. So I think I'll say sometimes when somebody's 22, you're like, you just got out of college. Give it a minute. It's going to be okay. I want to ask you overall, which couple causes the most drama this season?
Well, I think so far we've already seen it.
Okay. So who comes in second then?
Let me think. I think maybe Chris and Crystal, just because we've like sort of seen it already a little bit.
Okay. Is there more drama to come from them?
I honestly can't really remember.
Okay.
I feel like the T and Colton thing was such a big thing that it occupied all my headspace.
Okay, I love it. Okay, a couple more questions for you. Would you go on reality TV again? Amanda wants to know.
I don't know. I think if it was the right opportunity, I would have to think about it. But right now, I feel like that's probably it for me for reality TV, but we'll see.
Also wanted to ask you, Lauren Burnham just had kind of a bachelorette bash.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I was wondering how involved are the women from your season? I don't know how close you are with her, but is anybody going to be going to any of these pre-wedding things or going to the wedding itself?
I don't know. I saw Jacqueline, I think, was the only person from our season that was there. But she is close with Mikkel, and I talk to her every once in a while. We're not super, super close, but I think with our season, we really got along. There was maybe just like a couple girls that were a little bit more cliquey, but that wasn't to say that they didn't still get along with everyone. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a really small private wedding, though. So I have a feeling that it won't be a ton of people from Bachelor World.
Got it. Okay. Any idea if it'll be televised? Have you heard?
I think I heard that it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. But we'll see it all through social media, I'm sure.
Exactly.
All right. Well, tonight we have another episode of Bachelor in Paradise on ABC, you guys. 2 more fabulous hours, and Benoit comes, and Leo comes, and drama comes. If you could describe the rest of the season in a couple adjectives, what do we have in store?
Drama, hot, steamy, I don't know.
All the things. I'm loving this season of Paradise. I have to say, it's really good. I think everybody is really bringing it. And it's feeling like the emotions are running high and they're real.
They are, yeah. And you're definitely going to see a lot of love, too. So
I love it. All right. Well, we can't wait to see how things turned out for you, Annaliese. So glad it seems like not as much trauma this season. No. Everybody follow Annaliese on social media. And, of course, watch Bachelor in Paradise tonight on ABC and every Monday and Tuesday. Also, tomorrow morning, we will have a new episode of Roses and Rosé up for you, recapping both episodes from this week. And we love you guys so much. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks.